If you're sitting in the New South Wales placement test and you're looking to get into a selective high school, then poetry is a huge part of the reading comprehension section of the exam that a lot of students often find very difficult. The poems, they can be dense, they can be difficult to read. Even if you show them to a student in years 10, year 11, year 12, they would often find them hard to decode, hard to understand. And so if you're a student who's sitting the exam in year 6, how can you make the poetry section a strength rather than a weakness or an area that you're scared of? Now, the simplest thing here is there's two key things to focus on. One is trying to figure out what is the main idea. What is the main idea of the poem? Because the truth is, once you understand the main idea of the poem, maybe it's a poem about fish and you realize it's about the beauty of fish, you can use that understanding to interpret the rest of the poem. If there's a sentence, you can think, well, this has to somehow reinforce the main idea about the beauty of fish. And so if it says the fish swam in a serene environment, maybe that's trying to create the sense that it was a beautiful environment for the fish to swim in. Same thing, even the word serene. If we know the overall main idea of the poem is about the beauty of fish, well, then the word serene is probably trying to reinforce that even further. And so a very simple thing to focus on is just think, what's the main idea? What's this mainly about? Main idea just means what's it mainly about? Once you know that, it makes it a lot easier to understand, what does this sentence mean? What does this word mean? Second thing, if you're having a hard time figuring out what the main idea is, what do? Well, you just find a sentence that's approachable. You find one sentence that you can understand, and then you find a second sentence and a third sentence and a fourth sentence. And over time, you can build your way throughout the poem and start to understand it more and more. You start in a manageable, easy section and you work your way and understand more and more and more of the poem. So 2 key tips for poetry. Number 1, understand the main idea. Once you understand the main idea, it's a lot easier to understand the meaning of a sentence or a word that might be challenging. And if you're struggling to find the main idea, what do? You start somewhere where it's manageable. Start with a sentence that's easy to understand and work your way up from there. And so these are 2 key tips that will help you understand poetry and excel in the reading section of the placement test.